For the Saints, they are in one of the toughest positions imaginable because they actually played well and still lost to the Patriots 25-19. So for the Saints, their impossibly miserable year continues. For the Saints, they did play well. In my opinion, they were just playing a team that was playing better. However, that's not how football works. If you do lose a game, some part of your team definitely has to be better. And for the Saints, it was the defensive secondary, mainly because they actually did a good job hemming up Stephon Diggs. He only had 2 catches for 28 yards. So the scheme was there, but they couldn't stop guys like Pop Douglas from getting huge touchdowns. He had 1 bomb. He might have should have had 2, but they called offensive PI. And Booty was just out there cooking them throughout the entire game. Not great, not what you want to see, especially when Booty can go out there and have 5 catches for 93 yards, 2 touchdowns, and it seemed like every big play, they went right to him, and he was able to come through. Especially when you consider the fact that they were only missing Alontae Taylor. Alontae Taylor was playing, and so was Kool-Aid. They were missing their slot cornerback. I have his name, but I forgot it. Isaac Yarden. So they were missing him. But most of these secondaries, when you see them kind of get cooked like that, they're a little beat up. I mean, they've been missing Julian Blackmon for 5 weeks, but last week we saw Kool-Aid McKinstry go out there and make plays, and Taylor kind of stood up okay. So for that not to come through this week was definitely a pain, and it was definitely both sides. It wasn't just the secondary, but the defensive line. They couldn't get to Drake May at all. Now, Drake May is a hard guy to tackle. He's very slippery back there and maneuvers, but they only had 1 sack the entire game. A far cry from what they were doing to Dart, who also I would consider pretty slippery as well and evasive. So the defense just not as good today. Now, they were playing a better offense, but not as good in hemming in the Patriots, and that definitely cost them because they just weren't able to get big stops. There was even a point where they almost let up a 3rd and 27, just getting behind the cornerbacks deeper than the deepest. And again, they were lucky that there were penalties on it, and the 3rd and 27 was a drop actually from Mac Hollins. But the 3rd and 17 from Diggs, that was a little push off, but they kept getting behind them. Whenever they needed to get a big play, they would just get right behind the secondary, and that just cannot happen when you're trying to win games in the NFL. Offensively, a lot of drops from Chris Olave. Not his best game at all. Now, Olave was good, right? 90 yards, 6 catches. But there were some big plays that could have been made that they needed him to make for them to go out there and win that game. And it wasn't just Olave, but he was the one that you just kept seeing on the screen over and over again. The 3rd and 17, now it would have been a crazy catch, but it definitely could have changed the game, and he did have it in his hands. I consider that very good defense as well from the Patriots, but Olave had it, double coverage, had it in his chest, and he just couldn't hold on, gets ripped out. It actually looked like a fumble because both of his feet hit the ground, and then it got punched out. But either way, ended up being a punt regardless, so whether that was a fumble or not the big deal. The big deal is you just got to hold on to that football. They end up punting the ball to a team that they really just had trouble stopping all game. And then later in the game, he had a bomb opportunity, just dropped it. It might have been a little overthrown, but it looked like it hit him in just the tips of his fingernails, and he didn't come through with that catch either, and that would have been a huge bomb. Now, the big thing is he was really the only weapon out there for them, and that's definitely something that the Saints need to look at. Obviously, going forward, Shaheed can hit you on some deep bombs, but not a lot. He's not a supreme route runner, at least how they use him. Maybe he is, and I don't know, but just how they use him, they were definitely just spamming Olave, and Olave couldn't get anything going. And maybe a lot of it was they had Shaheed on that left side around Christian Gonzalez, and you just don't even want to bother over there, so you just go to Olave on the other side and just see what he can do. But just a couple opportunities. They couldn't run the ball at all. It was all on Spencer Rattler. And Spencer Rattler played solid, 20 for 26, 224 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 picks. A classic Spencer Rattler game. But them not being able to run the ball at all was just a killer. 23 rushes, 73 yards. The only way they were able to get in, they were able to get into the end zone. Taysom Hill had a touchdown run, which, hey, look, for whatever reason, he's just been their best player for like 5 years, other than Kamara, I guess. He's just weirdly their most important. Maybe not their best. He's out there. They can get stuff done on third and shorts and stuff. When he's not, they just can't. So him getting that touchdown, huge. But just the rest of the running team, like Kamara not going anywhere. Colton Miller not getting any yards either. 23 rushes, 73 yards. Interesting thing with Kamara, just something I'm seeing. I found out talking to some people, true, maybe not true, I don't know. But multiple people said that they asked Kamara if he wanted to trade. He said no. And then my immediate thought was, after discussion, we ended up on, he's clearly retiring because I'm watching him run. He even had a 20-yard catch that was huge. Just I've seen Kamara flashing the grill, running around looking happy. He just looks like he's just about toast. He's in here. This is last year. He's about to retire, and he's trying to go to the Saints Hall of Fame specifically. He's trying to be a lifelong Saint player. I respect that. I do. We love you, Alvin, if you wanted to come to the Bird. But if you don't, that's fine. Normally, Saints players do that. But Kamara, it just doesn't seem to be some games, this game specifically. I know he's older, but just no pop in the running game with him or Miller. And it's like Miller is not good enough to really be a number one run downhill option. That's what they want him to be. He's not good enough to do that. Maybe it's his offensive line, but I think the offensive line looks fine when pass blocking at least. And the run game just most of the time just has no juice. But the biggest, honestly, concern for the Saints, they had the big plays. They had a bomb to Olave to get them down the field. They were getting close to the red zone into the red zone, and they just couldn't come through in that area. Ended up kicking 4 field goals. Not good enough. And I think 3 of them were inside the 30. They just need to be better down there. They figured out how to get down there now, right? We've seen back-to-back weeks of them throwing bombs, hitting big plays, but just when they get down there, it's tough, of course, as well, when you don't have a run game. But when they get down there, they just have nothing to go to, and it is a consistent problem. So for the Saints at this point, man, season's about toast. It's over. They're 1-5. Division, you got the Bucks who are 5-1. Chalked. Even the Panthers now 3-3. Falcons 2-3, chilling around. It's bad, man. It's unfortunate because the Saints are really trying really hard to win these games. And honestly, the teams that they've played, other than I guess you could say the Cardinals, they're good teams. They played the Bills. Their schedule has been tough. Playing the Patriots right now, it's just a tough time to play the Patriots. But they've played the Seahawks. They've played the Bills. They played the upper echelon teams. And you get the Bears next, right? But even after that, then you get the Buccaneers, then the Rams, Panthers, Falcons. Those even look like kind of tough games. Not the Panthers have an identity. Just a tough year for the Saints, man. And they're playing the NFC West as a division, so that doesn't help anything. I think Rattler's cool. I just think they just need to stink. I don't even think their secondary is bad. They need a lot of things, though. And I know this is going to be my suggestion for a lot of teams. I don't think they're going to be able to do it. Just trade back. Early pick, trade back. Unless there's a premier pass rusher that I'd say you get. I don't think their offensive line is bad, honestly, especially watching what they did against the Giants. And today, now Harold Landry got hurt in the game, but today they were able to stand up. Spencer has time back there, and definitely want some interior guard play. Get that with your later picks, but early, got to get a pass rusher. They just need another game breaker. Cam Jordan's a little old. Davis is a little old as well. They just need some juice on that front seven. Because if they had some guys who could get home to Drake May, I think that game's a lot different. I don't think their secondary is bad. They just couldn't make plays on the ball, and Drake May was putting it in perfect positions, but you can't let up all those third and longs. So one of the two aspects has to be better. And I think the cornerback play is solid. They weren't getting cooked. I mean, they got cooked a couple times. They were getting cooked. Down there. Drake May was throwing some bombs. But I think a pass rush definitely helps with that. So for the Saints, man, at this point, kind of what it is. They're going to play hard. They will play hard, and I respect it. They fought in this game. They really were going, you could see it, punch for punch a little bit with the Patriots, but they just couldn't get the ball in the end zone. And it just seems like every week there's just a flaw, and that's what happens when you're just not as talented as the other teams. You know, one of their flaws is one of their strengths is going to be better than your weakness. And again, that was the case with the Patriots pass game, specifically Drake May and that secondary out there. So for the Saints, season's over, but your team fights. They don't get embarrassed. That's respectable, commendable. You don't want them to win too many of these useless games, though. You still want that high draft pick. So we will see what happens with the Saints. Playing the Bears. The Bears coming up next. Let's see if they can fight. But I don't think you want them to win if you're a Saints fan.